Hey, Chris, me again. Hope you're not getting bored. Do you know, I've had some good news today. Hair clippers have come, so next video I should have an haircut. The only problem is, I'm gonna do Jensen's hair, then he's gonna do mine. Do I trust him? I guess I have to, but he's a little bit mischievous sometimes, and I might end up with a skinhead, which I won't be impressed about, but it is what it is, innit? So it's Wednesday. It's 22:01. I'm down in Derby, and I've dropped a fully loaded trailer, picked an empty up. I've just backed under it now, so I'm going to fasten it all up, and then I'll show you what we do with the timbers and the sheets and whatnot, and then we'll go have a look at the gears and the controls of the truck. It's the size of a car, I know, don't laugh. But yeah, I'll show you all that. So I'll be back in a second. First things first though, we're missing some equipment, aren't we? So need this with a chin strap on because we're going on the back of the trailer. I've got my high-vis jacket, but because I've got this jumper on and it's about 12 degrees, it gets a little bit warm in that, so I'm just going to put the high-vis vest on. Stick that on. I also need safety glasses. Like that. And gloves. They're a bit tatty, but I'm quite a resourceful person, and some of the lads at work will swap them daily. I think I've had these about a month. I don't see the point in costing the company money, because these aren't cheap. I don't know how much they are, but they won't be cheap because they're cut resistant ones. I don't know if they're Tevlar or not, or Kevlar even, not Tevlar. But steel can be very sharp, especially if it's been cut. And they have what they call burrs on the end of the steel, where it's been through the saw and the saw's not cut the end off properly. It just a little bit sticks out. And it can cut your finger off, cut your hand off. It can do a lot of damage. So these gloves are specially bought in as cut resistant. I'm not going to test them. I don't fancy the outcome if they're not, so I'm just trusting that they are, but we've still got to be very careful, haven't we? So that's the PPE that I've got to put on. We'll jump on the back of the wagon. Right, buddy, so this trailer was dropped here last time, and they've taken some of the straps off the four restraints down the side of the trailer there, and they've left all the timbers, as you can see. So we need to pack them up and put the four restraints back on, and then fasten the sheets down. Where's the sheets? There at the back. And I'll tell you why hang on, where's my hand going? Wants to go over there. A bit awkward when it's opposite way around. But we put the sheets on the back, and we put the sheets on the back so that we can take them off easily when we get back to the yard, that's all. So yeah, these are your fall restraints on the sides, meant to stop you falling off. Like my gloves, I ain't going to trial them. I've fallen off enough times, it hurts. So I put all the top ones on. I'm just going to jump off now and do all the bottom ones, but I won't bore you with that. I'll get back to you when I've finished. All the fall restraints are on and fastened up nice and tight. Just got to collect all the timbers now, put them all at the back. Same with the sheets. These can be heavy, so you've just got to be careful with these. You've got to lift them properly. Ta-da! It's quite a physical job this sometimes. you certainly don't need to go home and think about going to the gym. You can do plenty on the job, so to say. So that's it all tidied up now. We'll go have a look. So there we have it, all nice and neatly stacked. We'll throw a strap on it now. Look how neat and tidy that is. It's my OCD a little bit, I think. If it looks neat and tidy, it's usually safe. That's what I say, and it looks very professional. Looks good on the company as well, and you. And people tend to leave you alone. So I like everything to look really neat. And all I've done is bridge it across onto that timber there. I've lifted that timber on its... I've lifted it up onto its end like that, so it's a little bit higher than this. We'll get some pressure down on that with this strap. And then we should all be fastened in nice. Strap. Throw it over onto the chassis. Once we've thrown it over, as you can see, it's onto the chassis, and then we'll put the ratchet on it. Tell you what, it's really quiet. I'm loving it. Remember on the previous video, you've got that slot there, haven't you? Yeah, that hole there, that's where you feed the strap through. Like that. Pull it all the way through. And hook it onto the chassis there. Make sure it's nice and tight. Nice and tight like that. Okay, give it a nice pull, make sure you've got plenty of tension there. Hold the strap with your thumb. And just tension it up a little bit. Okay, and then what we do is we need to fold this strap up. You can roll it. You can roll it up like this. A lot of drivers do it like this. Or you can fold it. I like to fold it, but this one time we'll roll it up. It'll give you a better demonstration, like that, into a ball. And then what we do is we tuck it on there. Just release the tension a touch. And we'll tuck it down side there. So it's just down the side of the chassis. We'll just strap over it, and then we'll tension it up, just like that. And obviously, when you tighten it up, that gets tight, holds that in place, fastens all that down. A lot of ratchets, they're the push-up ones. We have the pull-down ones to get a bit more tension on them, and I think they're a lot easier as well, to be honest. I prefer them. You can get some good tension on it, make sure everything stays on the truck. So there we go, we're all strapped down, ready to go. Don't know if you've noticed, remember we do our checks, don't we, when we pick a trailer up? Well, I've done all the checks, but there's something missing. You see what it is? Number plate. So I'll go get that and stick that on. Right, number plate's on there. What we do now is, before we set off, we check these timbers. We give them a tap. If there's any loose ones, that one's slightly loose. all the rest are okay, but because that one's a little bit loose, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to bang them together like that. They should all be solid now. Yep. Happy with that. We're ready to rock and roll, aren't we? Back up to Bradford now. I'll show you the gears though. We'll go through the gears now before we set off. And I'll show you how they work. And then on the way back up, I'm going to call in at a couple of service stations. I'll explain why when we're back in the truck. But there she is. There she is. That's what she looks like. So do for me. Right, we're back in the wagon. So that's all the trailer, nice and tidy, ready for transit. And I will go through some bits inside the wagon now. Right, I did mention that we're going to go back up in and out of some services potentially. Now the reason for that is because of these. Let me just show you these. Right, it's backwards to you because the camera's facing me, but it's we've started a Facebook group for truck drivers. It's an information, advice and support group whilst we're going through this coronavirus pandemic. What it basically is that a lot of places are shutting down for wagon drivers now, so the services are limited as to what you can get. There's barely any food at the services. Just about letting us use the toilets, but there's a lot of places still not allowing drivers to use toilets, wash facilities, or get showers. You know, there's a lot of lads that work away all week and need the showers. And with the government guidelines that we need to be very hygienic at the moment, so we need to wash our hands and use toilets and, you know, get washed. We're sort of fighting a bit of a battle here against all these companies, but we're getting there slowly but surely, and I think they're beginning to realise that we do matter as an industry, and they're sort of defeating the object if they're not letting us use basic welfare hygiene facilities. So what we've done is we've set up a group, and it's just all about that really. And there's also drivers that are stuck out. They're isolating in their wagons for the duration of this, so it could be months and months and months. So yeah, there's a lot of drivers that are out there now sleeping in the wagons. Could be for 3, 4, 5 months, however long this goes on for. And you know, they might get poorly, but they can't go home because they don't want to take. They might have the virus, and they don't want to take it home to their family who might be high risk. So this basically is a trucker support poster. Okay, there's 2 of them. There's a trucker assist poster as well. Now the idea of this is that when you park up, or if you're on your break, you display this, and it shows that you're willing to offer help to a driver that needs it. So water, kettle, microwave, food, painkillers, or even just somebody to talk to, because it can get extremely lonely. And there's a lot of issues with mental health within the group. So that's what the support one's for, to say, I will support you if you need anything. The trucker assist one is a bit more serious. We use this one if you need something. So you might be parked up, you might be isolating, and you might have run out of water, you might have run out of food, you might have run out of painkillers if you're poorly, stuff like that. So the idea is put This one, in your windscreen, people will see that you need some assistance and they will come and see if they can help. So they'll give you a knock on the door. You okay, driver? Do you need any help? And then take it from there. So I'm going to go up past the services. I'm going to make everybody aware on the group that I will be passing, and if they would like these, because it can be difficult to get hold of if you don't have access to a printer, and I will just give them. If it helps one person, it's done its job. So that's what that's about. Right, back to the wagon. Right, I've turned the camera around so it's a bit easier to see. So we'll start at the top and work our way down. So this is the tachograph. Okay, that's your driving time, that's your rest time, and that's your work time. That's how long I've been working for. Okay, and inside there is my card that records everything: speed, brakes, all the data that is required by law, and that gets downloaded and sent to the authorities. They have a look at that and they send you some paperwork back that you have to sign to say, well done, you've been awesome, or you shouldn't have done that. These toggle switches here, these are beacons. That's 2 beacons on the roof, so flick that up and flick that up, that's both beacons on. This button here is the light board behind me. Okay, this one here's not got anything on it yet, that's just a blank. Oh, apologies about that, got a phone call. This one here, that's for the green lights on the front of the grille. That's the CV. But Ross Lansom, who sent you the flower wagon video, blew my CV up when he was wiring these in, and I've just not replaced it yet. Sunroof, air fresheners, lights, and we're working our way down. This is a computer system. Turn it on, load it up. We've got radio. Oh. Radio, Bluetooth, that's onto my phone, so everything's hands-free. These are the controls for the telephone: phone book, answer call, reject call, call volume. So everything's completely Bluetooth and hands-free. What have we got? It's CD player. We've also got sat-nav. Can have traffic updates. Blah blah blah. Right, moving across, this is the automatic emergency braking system. So on the front of the wagon here, underneath the curtain, that system there detects what's in front of you, and if it thinks you're going to have an accident, this comes into play and the wagon brakes for you, it stops for you. Now you can switch it off, that's what the switch is for. But I think it's probably best left on. This is lane guidance. So every now and again you hear the brrrr. Well, that's me going across a white line without indicating. I can turn this off as well, that's what that switch is for. But I think again it's best left on. This is regeneration button. The system now runs a very complicated exhaust fume system, so that it's Euro 6, which means that it's environmentally friendly to a degree, which means that you're allowed into places like London. The problem with this is it gets clogged up. It has a big filter in it, and it's called a regeneration button. So if the system gets clogged up, you press the button and it heats up to a ridiculous temperature to burn out all the carbon that would ordinarily be up in the ozone layer. Uphill start, don't really need that. You've got the handbrake here, which Oh, rolled forward a bit then, but you just use that. That's the self-leveling. So if your trailer's a bit high, press that and it'll level for ride height. Traction control. If it senses that the wheels are spinning, that will come into play and it will stop one or the other wheels spinning so that you've got traction. No idea what that is, to be honest. That's your reversing bleeper. You can turn that off, especially at night time. If you're in a housing estate, you can turn that off. That's your door locks. These are your lights. If I turn it 1, it brings on the red night light. If I turn it again, it brings on the green night lights. And it's dimmable, so you press that up or down to dim it. We'll turn that off for a minute. This here, I think I've explained this before. This does all the telemetry of the vehicle, so speed, what do you call it? If you go around a corner too quick, it will, G-force, does all the G-forces. It was there somewhere, wasn't it? Hazard warning lights, that's all the indicators on. That's diff lock. Now what that does is, both your wheels spin independently. Okay, so if one wheel's in a bit of mud, it'll spin while the other one is on the concrete. That'll have traction. This locks the axle or the differential so that both wheels spin at exactly the same pace, and that's good for if you're on soft ground, stuff like that. These are the amber strobes on the front, and this is your dial brightness. This is gears. N is neutral, a bit like your automatic car. Okay. D is for drive. D, tortoise, is very slow and it will not go out of first gear, I don't think, which is very slow. Or reverse, and exactly the same for reverse. It's very slow gear. Okay. Down here we've got lift axle. So on the outside we've got the rear axle, we've got the middle axle, which is a lift axle, and then you've got the front steering axle. This is for the middle. We can lift that up when we're not loaded, so we prevent tyre wear and we have better traction. It will go down automatically when we've got a certain weight on, to evenly spread the weight across the unit's axles. This button here is when you're fully loaded and you need a little bit of extra traction. What it'll do is, if you press that, it'll lift the middle axle up ever so slightly, so all the weight is transferred to the back axle, giving you a little bit more traction. And once you get above, I think it's 10 mile an hour, it'll go back down again, so that it evenly spreads the weight. This here is your air conditioning unit. That's the night heater. Press that. There. And it'll warm the wagon to 22.5 degrees. Or twist that. You turn it up or down and turn that up. And it'll turn the fans up. Don't need it on yet. This is your front window demister. So you'd press that when the engine's on and it'd clear the whole of the front window very quickly. That's your recirculation, so the air that's inside the wagon will just get recirculated, and that's your air conditioning. So in the summer, press that and it'll cold air. That's fans at the top, fans facing you, and fans for your feet. That's about it for there. Right, steering wheel. As we've said, these are your mobile phones, switches, and also radio volume, CD, skip, tracks, radio station change, all that sort of stuff. This is indicator. Oh, look at the colour of my hands. Disgusting, eh? But I've washed them that much, they're getting really dry and dirty. This is the horn. There we go. Windscreen wipers. Indicator. Flashy lights. And then if we move across here, we've got, this is cruise control, so when you get up to the speed that you want to, press that and it'll hold it at that speed no matter what. If you want to switch it off, press that. These give you some different options, and this is the speed limiter, so you can up it and down it. That limits your speed, so if you put it at 40, you could press the accelerator and it will not go above 40. You could set it whatever speed you want. If you switch the cruise control off and then press resume, it'll go back to whatever speed you set it at to start with. So, moving across, these are your lights. So you've got side lights, main lights, fog lights if you pull it out, rear fog lights at the back, as you can see. Fog lights at the back off, fog lights at the front off. Okay. And that switches off your main beam. Now then, the gears. It's an automatic truck, as you've seen. Okay. Now, in previous videos, you've heard me talking about the engine brake or exhaust brake. This is the engine brake. So, 3 levels, as you can see. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then off. Back up to off. This is the gears. So it can be, I'll tell you what, let's switch it on. Let's have a look. Right. The neutral. Okay. So if we change it to D, like that. There's no air in the system, hang on. Let's just build the air up a little bit. Give it a bit of gas. Get the compressor going, build the air up. Right. If I was to put it into drive now, you'll see that it's gone into second gear. Wagons can set off in second gear, or third gear, or fourth gear if you're going downhill. But this is ready to set off in second gear because we're on the level. It'll do it automatically. It'll go up, it'll skip gears, so it might go from second to fourth, up to 6, up to 8, 9, 10, 12, whatever it wants to do. It'll drive itself. However, we can turn it manual. Okay, so as you can see now, 2M is manual, and that means I can use this stalk now to change the gear down to 1, up to 2. It will not set off at this moment in time any higher than 2 to save the gearbox, but whilst you're out on the road I can use this up to 3, 4, 5. There's 12 gears. Doesn't need all 12 gears, but that's why it skips them all. It's all for the torque and the pulling up the hills and stuff like that. Right, so here we've got your speedometer, miles per hour on the outside, kilometres on the inside. Fuel, got a full tank. That's the AdBlue. That's an additive that goes into the diesel to make it more environmentally friendly. So that's just that level there. This here is how good a driver I am. Now when I first got this, I prided myself on keeping it somewhere around 98%, but then I was off for a week and we had another driver on it, and I came back, it was on 68%. So God knows what he was doing. He must have been driving it around like a Formula 1 car. So that kind of ruined it for me, so I've not really stuck to it, although I try to drive as economically as possible, but I've lost all interest in trying to be a good driver now. Time, temperature, that's my mobile phone signal, that's the wagon phone signal, two separate systems. You can reset the trip miles, and that's the total miles that it's done. That's it in kilometres. It always reads on the tachograph in kilometres, but you can change it on the wagon to miles, which I do because I like to know what miles per gallon I'm getting and stuff like that. Moving over here, we have window and mirror functions. So up is window up, down is window down. Same on the passenger side. Heated mirrors. Press that, green light comes on. Turn it off. That top button there's the main mirror there. The bottom one is that one, and it's the same on the other side. Okay. Now if you press the top one there, we can use this to move the angle of it up, down, left, right and stuff like that. This is the door handle, pull that, door opens, and that is pretty much it, I think. There's a couple down there, but they're just for lights. That's the external light at the back. That's to turn off the interior lights. Oh, this is the key lock. That does the light check. I think I've shown you that before as well. That is about it, I think. So yeah, back to Bradford now. Hope you enjoyed that and it wasn't too boring for you. I'll speak to you shortly.